Welcome to the English Language Arts Instructional Plan module for grades 6 through 12. We hope this module will help provide you with research and practices to transform the learning environment for your students. The vision of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction is to transform the learning environment for all students. The mission of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction is to advance the practice of teaching and learning by providing direct and indirect student-centered support based on research and grounded in real-world experiences.
The content of this module is aligned to the State of Georgia's Teacher Keys Effectiveness System Performance Standards 2 and 3, Instructional Planning and Instructional Strategies.
Our agenda for this module is as follows. First, we will take a look at the learning targets and success criteria. Then, dive right into an article that will help provide background knowledge. We will review two ELA guidance documents, the 612 Instructional Plan and the KUD of Literacy Instruction. Between a review of Bloom's taxonomy and the gradual release of responsibility framework, you will have an opportunity to reflect and determine your next steps for implementation. We will also offer suggestions for self-paced learning and a short list of references that will help guide the district team. During this module, you will learn about the DCSD 612 ELA Instructional Plan, the DCSD KUD of Literacy Instruction, and evidence-based best practices in ELA. After completing this module, you should be able to plan lessons that use the ELA Instructional Plan, the KUD of Literacy, and evidence-based best practices in ELA. Now, in preparation for viewing the module, collect the following items so that you can take notes and complete the activities provided. Paper and a pen or pencil, and please visit the resource folder to download the following documents: the DCSD 612 ELA Instructional Plan, the DCSD KUD of Literacy Instruction, and a note-taking sheet.
Before we walk through the documents that guide ELA instruction in the DeKalb County School District, we would like you to take a few moments to complete a background reading and do some self-assessment. This will enable us to build on a common understanding during this module. So at this time, please pause the module as you read Every Child Every Day and use the note-taking sheet to reflect. Both documents are located in the resources folder.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the reading. When understanding expectations for ELA in DeKalb County, the DCSD 612 ELA Instructional Plan is the framework. The instructional plan is based on the three-part lesson plan as well as the gradual release of responsibility framework. Notice that the opening lasts up to 15% of the instructional time and consists of a mini lesson, teacher-guided demonstrations, teacher modeling, or some other strategy that prepares students to work toward achieving the learning target for the lesson. We encourage teachers to model the use of strategies to support students' scaffolding up to grade level. And we encourage for those models to include think alouds, because modeling with the think aloud as a scaffold sets the foundation of a student's ability to work independently during the work period. The majority of the instructional time, 50 to 75%, is devoted to the work period, which is a student-focused block of time when students should be engaged in applying grade level skills and standards, interacting with text, discussing and working collaboratively, and ultimately working toward independently attaining the learning target. Differentiation and small group instruction can take place during the work period, and scaffolding and modeling strategies will make the skills of English language arts explicit for all students. Remember, in ELA, our goal is to have students engage in grade level reading and writing. The closing takes the last 10% of instructional time and is a time for the teacher to assess, reflect, evaluate, and determine the next steps for instruction. Students should actively participate in the closing by reflecting on, sharing about, and identifying what has taken place during the work period. These questions: how have they met the success criteria of the lesson, and how are they progressing toward the learning target?
And finally, when we deconstruct standards, we talk about what students need to know, understand, and do. Each content area in the DCSD's Curriculum and Instruction Department has developed a KUD for the specific content area. While no list is ever truly exhaustive, this chart includes many of the understandings, pedagogical and content knowledge, and instructional practices needed in an ELA teacher's toolbox.
So, let's take a moment and watch a video from Sprouts about Bloom's taxonomy and its relationship to instructional planning. While watching the video clip, consider these three questions. What resonates with you? What challenges you? What supports do you need to better apply Bloom's taxonomy to structure your students' learning journey? The link to the video is in the resource folder. Be sure to jot down your thoughts on the note-taking sheet. If you are working with the grade level team, turn and talk to discuss your responses. Again, please save your responses as evidence that you have worked through this module. Now, pause the module and watch the video. Okay, now that you've watched the video, we hope that there are some things that you noticed. The biggest of all is that the goal of an educator using Bloom's taxonomy is to encourage higher order thought in their students by building up from lower level cognitive skills, similar to the gradual release of responsibility. It's all scaffolding. Did you notice how Bloom's taxonomy provides teachers with the focus for developing their course learning targets? Or how Bloom's taxonomy offers a framework for breaking the criteria down into chunks to be used to direct daily lesson planning? We understand that different levels require different instructional methods, meaning they also require different assessment methods. Bloom's taxonomy can be used as a checklist to ensure that all levels of a domain have been assessed, aligning assessment methods with the appropriate lessons. By doing this, it makes it easier for you to maintain consistency between assessment methods, content, and instructional materials. Using the KUD of literacy instruction, along with your understanding of Bloom's taxonomy, will make certain that you are intentionally planning to support ELA instruction in your classroom.
At this point, we've walked through a number of documents that should give you a clear expectation of what ELA instruction looks like in the DeKalb County School District. Spend a few minutes revisiting the documents and use the note-taking page to jot down responses to these questions. What do you notice? What do you wonder? What opportunities or challenges can you identify as you consider implementation? And what support might you need as you implement K-5 ELA instruction? Pause the presentation now and jot on your note-taking sheet. If you're working with a grade level or team, be sure to discuss your responses, and also be sure to save your notes as evidence that you've worked through this module.
Now that you've had an opportunity to read and reflect on the 612 ELA instructional plan and the KUD for literacy instruction, let's spend a few minutes reviewing the source of our foundational documents. As you know, the DeKalb curriculum is grounded in the Georgia Standards of Excellence. The DCSD instructional plan and the KUD are grounded in evidence-based practices in reading and writing. Some of the most reliable sources for these evidence-based practices include the Southern Regional Education Board, the Reading and Writing Next reports, and the Institute of Education Sciences What Works Clearinghouse reports. Links to each report are available at the end of this presentation.
This list summarizes the main findings from ELA research, holistically referred to as evidence-based literacy practices. The DeKalb ELA instructional plan, guidance document, and KUD were designed with these practices in mind. Lessons designed around clear learning targets and success criteria. Lessons designed for engagement in meaningful literacy activities, diverse texts, and authentic tasks. Use of teacher modeling, think alouds, and gradual release of responsibility. Explicit instruction and modeling in reading strategies such as comprehension, summarizing, analysis, tracking understanding. Writing strategies such as planning, revising, editing, summarization, and sentence combining. And phonics, word solving, and vocabulary building. This includes explicit systematic phonics. Time for students to read, write, and work on interdisciplinary tasks. Time for discourse and collaboration around reading and writing tasks. Formative assessment that informs instruction and intervention and guides students toward specific growth goals. And intentional and purposeful integration of technology.
So far, we've discussed the what and we've discussed the why. We've mentioned the evidence-based practices that make up the how, and now we're going to watch a video that shows the how so we can see how the practices can be implemented to best support students' individual cognitive development. While watching the video clip, think about how gradual release scaffolds students up to grade level and beyond. Think about what qualities you notice as the speaker places emphasis on the importance of gradual release. Jot down your noticings on the note-taking sheet. Now, pause the module and watch the video. The link to the video is in the resource folder. Again, be sure to jot down your thoughts on the note-taking sheet. If you're working with the grade level team, turn and talk to discuss your responses. And please, save your responses as evidence that you have worked through this module. Let's recap. Now that you've watched the video, we hope that there are some things that you noticed. For instance, did you notice how the gradual release of responsibility framework purposefully shifts the cognitive load from teacher as model to joint responsibility of the teacher and the student to independent practice and application by the student? We understand that effective instruction often follows a progression in which teachers gradually do less of the work and students gradually assume increased responsibility for their own learning. It is through this process of gradually assuming more and more responsibility that students become competent, independent learners. Did you also notice how peer collaboration is more about reciprocal teaching and less about just sharing ideas? Or the fact that gradual release may occur over time, over a day, or over a week, or over a month, or even a year. Please understand that gradual release of responsibility, when done purposefully, allows students to grow at an appropriate pace, learning within and being scaffolded up from their zone of proximal development. We hope the video gave you a better idea of what the ELA instructional plan looks like when moving from theory to actual classroom practice. We invite you to extend your learning experience by reading the following article, as it will support your understanding of implementation of best practices within your ELA classroom. The article, Dropping Everything to Read, How About Picking Some Things Up, authored by Jennifer Saravallo, is in the resource folder. Now, as we bring this module to a close, all of the evidence-based best practices for ELA discussed during the module are listed here for your reference.
On behalf of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction and the District English Language Arts team, thank you for participating in this module.